Victoria Woodhull was born in 1838, September 23rd. She grew up the sixth of 10 children in Homer, Ohio, with a criminal for a father and a spiritualist mother. She attended only 3 years of elementary school before dropping out. Her family was considered lowly and poor in their small town, owing many residents money. After turning 11 and discovering her love for leadership, her father skipped town on suspected arson, and her church raised money for her family to be relocated. At age 15, she was married to an alcoholic man 15 years her senior for financial security, and gave birth to a child with mental disabilities. After her divorce, she vowed to become a leader in the fight for women's rights under the belief that no woman should be forced to endure heartache or offer her body in marriage or on the street for financial security. Together, her and her sister, Tennessee, became traveling clairvoyants and spiritualists, eventually working with notable Cornelius Vanderbilt, railroad tycoon. With Vanderbilt's funding, the two sisters became the first female stockbrokers on Wall Street, 97 years before a woman had held a chair on the New York Stock Exchange. On their first day of founding Woodhull, Claflin and Company, over 4,000 people came to invest. Featured in papers like the Herald and the New York Sun, headlines all pointed out the new scene of femininity in a masculine field, treating them as novelties. These headlines and political cartoons, however negative, never seemed to faze Woodhull, who continued her advocacy for her ideas with a constant passion and tenacity. With the profits of their business, Woodhull and Claflin began publishing radical newsletters, and Woodhull began a lecture circuit, advocating for social freedom, legalized prostitution, and free love, attracting large crowds for her frank personality and muckraking skills. Today, some of these radical ideas are still considered controversial, like birth control, high school sexual education, fair wages, and gender equality. Her talents in public speaking were also brought to the House Judiciary Committee in 1871, where she became the first woman to address a committee of the U.S. Congress. Speaking as a representative for the women's suffrage, she became a leader alongside Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony. The following year, in 1872, she became the first woman to run for president, although this went against Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution, and she legally couldn't vote for herself. She ran under the Equal Rights Party. During her campaign, her newsletter and lectures became more popular with audiences, although filled with a mixture of cheers and boos. As she continued to promote her ideas on free love, she was put under scrutiny, so much so that her reputation began to fall apart. Many began to judge her for her radical ideas and history of relationships, having been married 2 times in her life with many other affairs in between. She began losing funds and support. Using her publication, she began exposing Henry Ward Beecher, the brother of Harriet Beecher, as an adulterer and a hypocrite, who contradicted his stance against free love. This action resulted in Woodhull being arrested on Election Day for the publishing of obscenities within her newsletter. This left her without any support and without any funds. With her reputation tarnished, she moved to England with her sister and remarried, living out the rest of her days with her third husband. Although making important strides for women's rights in politics and in Wall Street, Woodhull failed to even be mentioned in Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony's 6-volume, 899-page account of the early women's movement. Today, her accomplishments and achievements are ignored and forgotten. Many believe that Hillary Clinton is the first lady to run for president, and many classes don't mention how Woodhull and her sister were the first female stockbrokers of Wall Street, or how Woodhull was the first to address a committee of the U.S. Congress. Her name is often left out and rarely remembered.